This is Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. My co-host Bill Morton, president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, is under the weather. So I am Trudy Leong, administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. Today we have two guests. We have Mr. John Kennedy, who is running for alderman of the 3rd Ward in Evanston. And we have Dr. Violette Kolcan. She is a holistic medical practitioner, and she is also a gynecologist and a
holistic medicine practitioner.
Yes, okay. So first of all, let us start with John. John, tell us a little bit about how Evanston is run. It's different from Chicago.
Yeah, it's called a city manager's government. The city of Chicago has a council, alderman, but it also has a mayor that you elect and that makes all the decisions. There's another form of city government, which is called a city manager role, where you hire a professional who knows how to run, a city, and you elect a council, which I'm running for in the 3rd Ward. There's 9 wards in Evanston. And you also elect a mayor. And the mayor is usually supposed to be a figurehead. He is supposed to be, take some leadership aspects, be the face of the city, represent us in various national and National League of Cities, that type of thing. And that's a big difference. So that's...
Well, who hires the city manager? Is it the mayor and with the approval of the city council?
Yes, the city council is the final decision across the board, both financially, ordinances pertaining to everything under the sun, as well as the budget, and also the city manager. So they manage the city manager, and the city manager manages what is actually about 700-800 employees and a $400 million budget.
Mm. And the mayor, you said, is the figurehead, but you said that Mayor Biss does make a lot of decisions. So how is he able to do that? Does he still have to get the approval of the city council?
Well, this is my opinion. We searched for a strong professional city manager, and after 2 attempts that failed, we ended up hiring somebody internally, and he was running a department, an IT department, but he was positioned into running a $400 million corporation in a sense, and 800 employees. So he didn't have a whole lot of experience in that respect. Mayor Biss, in my opinion, has become more of a strong mayor in Evanston, and he has driven a progressive agenda, which, I kind of agree with at certain levels, but at the same time, it is imposed on the city. For example, in the zoning area, he wanted to upzone everything, meaning a single-family home can now have 4 units on it, and he wanted to rush it through in the current council, and luckily, the council backed off on all that. But he also has, a strong presence on the council in terms of a majority of the council that will vote his way. So it's very difficult to bring forward objections to the past. So that was one of the reasons I frankly got into this race, to try to change that.
So who runs the meetings, the city council meetings? Mayor Biss?
Mayor Biss is it's in a sense a parliamentarian. Mm-hmm. He keeps the track of the time. But the council, the 9 of them take turns in terms of their comments and try to speak to the issues. And to the degree that there is discussion and collaboration and consensus, they end up voting hopefully a strong majority in one direction or another. All too often it comes down to a 5-4 split, or one member of the council is missing, and so Mayor Biss breaks the tie, which oftentimes has put forth his agenda in lieu of a lot of city objections, and so.
What is a strong majority? 6 or 7 council members?
Well, in a council of 9, you need at least 5 to carry.
Right.
So.
Okay, and you
A
said
strong majority would be 6 to 7 people that generally vote in his camp.
So you said that Mayor Biss is making a lot of the decisions and putting forth his agenda. So the city manager is okay with all of Mayor Biss's suggestions then. Is there any pushback from the city manager at all about Mayor Biss's suggestions?
Well, there may be some behind closed doors, but I don't see it.
So in other words, the figurehead role is switched around then, in a sense.
In reality, it is, yes.
Do the council members have committees?
Oh, yeah, there's quite a bit of committee. In fact, there's over 30 committees in the city, and the council members are members of some of those committees. Other committees are voluntary residents who serve on these boards, put a lot of time in, and contribute to, moving the legislation through a normal process. Part of the problem is that, one, the city council has ignored often the comments and the judgment of these committees, and two, oftentimes Mayor Biss has sidestepped all these committees through implementing what's called a special order of business. And that's only something that should be used under dire emergency situations, but it has become a normal, regular process within the council operations, which, again, is just, in my mind, wrong.
So he's deciding what committee matters he wants to support,
Right.
and then the ones that he does not want to support is like buried in committee?
Well, if a committee votes 9-0 to on a particular subject, and the council turns around and says, we're going to ignore that and vote it in anyways, that's an example of where it's discouraging to the people that have volunteered their time, many of whom are experts in their field, where the council is not. And so, the council needs to, and there's a number of people running for the council, and there's a competitor, a guy named Jeff Barini, who's running against the mayor, who want to respect the committees in Evanston. They put heavy-duty time in, and if we don't respect the process, it's just the wrong way to do government. And we're, unfortunately, with things going on in D.C., we see a lot of examples of how one should not conduct government proceedings.
Mm-hmm. So in other words, when the council members do not take the advice, take the suggestions of the committees, is that usually Mayor Biss behind the council members' decision, or is it the council members' decision sometimes also to not take into account the various committees?
It's hard to say.
Okay, so there is a variety then.
Right.
You are also running on fiscal responsibility, accountability. You want that improved. So, in other words, what is the state of fiscal accountability in Evanston now?
Well, it's part. Let's begin at the budget. You have every year a budget. Here's what we expect in revenue. Here's what we expect in expenses. And almost every year, the council wrestles with the fact that the expenses are too much and the revenues are too few. Yet instead of looking at the expenses and say, what could we bring down, 5% to get even a balanced budget, the city council tends to go, let's see where we can get more revenue. And the problem is, without critical thinking on the expense side, what's really necessary? Are we wasting money on nice-to-have items? the kinds of controls within a department so that they stay within a budget. These are all management issues that, a strong city manager ought to impose. The council needs to be presented a balanced budget. And frankly, given where we are, with the federal government's probably cutting back on a lot of the funding that cities receive, we have to be much more judicious in terms of what's priority so that we, have some extra money to fill in the gaps that may be imposed on us by the federal government.
Are there any independent audits of the various departments and spending in Evanston?
Well, there is an audit for the whole city every year. And
is it independent audit?
Oh, yeah. It's an outside independent company. And interestingly enough, you bring up audits. You hear on the one hand, oh, we're running a structural deficit. But if you actually look at the audits from 2019 till today, there's a surplus in every year. In other words, at the end of the year, the auditor says there's $22 million and change left over that they didn't spend, but they got the revenue in. Mm. Now, some of that money was ARPA funds, but a lot of it was there and kind of becomes cash in the bank, let's say.
Okay, you said some of that money was what funds? ARPA funds?
ARPA. When Biden came out and basically said, in the middle of COVID, we need to subsidize, all of us got a check, right? Cities got some money, other governments and other institutions got money, businesses got money, basically to keep things going so that everybody didn't run out of business. And so the City of Evanston received, I think, $43 million, which they then have been spending on, projects within the city. But the core is that we've been running a surplus to the tune of $120 million over the last 5-6 years. And, so I don't buy in on the structural deficit piece.
Mm-hmm. And are you able to access the financial information from Evanston, or do you have to FOIA, use the Freedom of Information
Well,
Act?
The finances are available, tend to be budgets. There's been a lack of year-to-date information, and there are some elements of fund management, which is the way a city manages, does its accounting, is got a lot of ways of moving money around from one fund to another. And so it's like a chess game by two masters, and you're sitting there looking at that, and you're wondering why he moved from here to there. And without expert information, oftentimes through a FOIA, you don't know why or how this money is being moved. And so there's a lot more accountability and transparency needed on the financial side. And I come out of business. I started 3 software businesses, all successful. Over the years, had to raise the money, put the team together, and so on. So I'm very careful when you look at money in the bank, because you're not necessarily going to get any more from the investors if you don't take care of what you got. So I look at expenditures in a careful manner, and when the city is doing dumb things, spending too much more money than they should for a given project, I want to call that out.
And are some of those funds, if they don't use it, do they lose it, or do they still keep most of it?
Well, if a department doesn't spend the money, it ends up going into a general fund, the surplus. And part of the question is where that surplus goes from there.
Mm-hmm. And you couldn't find out that.
Well, it's there. It's just something that has been a little on the opaque side of things.
From managing a government to managing health, Dr. Violette Kolcan, you have been trying to help people manage their health more wisely, and you have a lecture coming up very soon. Could you tell us about what's happening?
Thank you, Trudy, for inviting, and thank you to John Kennedy. I learned more about the politics in Evanston.
That you wanted to know.
I want to know because the politician supporting the health department and also education the people and access to many screenings. So last time we were talking here about National Breast Cancer Foundation and charity competition, which I was in a fall time. And I would like to say thank you to everybody in the front of their own TVs, and all Chicago were voting for me, and in a competition of 250,000 women, I got to the third place. So thank you all Chicago for voting, all together for voting, and thank you for donating for this for good cause competition, charity, and National Breast Cancer Foundation. For 3 months, we just raised $6.5 million. So everything going to that organization, which support women. Sometimes women, they have insurance, which not cover many treatments, chemotherapy, but also we play that plays important role in early detection and mammography and ultrasound. Education, self-examination because diagnosis cancer not always means that you can live if there is early detection. That is very important. And now from this part and serve to the community and support National Breast Cancer Foundation, we are in the front of the Healthy Living Expo, which will be this coming weekend in Schaumburg, the Embassy Suite at Hilton Hotel. Everybody are invited. The entrance is free.
Mm-hmm. And we will provide the details in the description of our show. So our audience does not need to worry. All those details will be provided when the show is published, and it will be published very soon.
So there are 2 days of 40 vendors and 2 days of nice lectures.
And you are among one of the lecturers. You are going to be speaking about longevity and managing your health better.
Yes.
That's not only for women, right? Also for men.
Yes, because longevity, everybody wants to live long with the quality of life, and now in the era when very popular are stem cells therapy, all natural treatment, acupuncture, bioresonance, frequency therapy, all diet, nutrition, and as well food supplements. We'll have at this Health Expo 40 vendors, which also provide many supplements, so everybody welcome. We'll have
lots of great information for our viewers.
And also that we invite entire families from the little children to adulthood and elderly people. So the mother can bring the children and grandparents. That will be also except the nice lectures, that will be also nice raffles. So every attendee get the raffle, so you don't have to buy the raffle. And in the end, you'll be, participate in very attractive raffles, like at 4 days trips, like for kids scooter.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that the raffle prizes are going to be very nice, but of course, we want our attendees and our viewers to live longer and get a lot of useful information that will help them live longer, manage their health better.
Yes, absolutely. So I am surprised leading many conferences and many lectures and being keynote speaker, how much need it is in our society for health information in an era of internet and easy access to information. Still, now in internet, everybody can post, and when it was the COVID, everybody were expert of COVID, yes, and how to prevent. So even people with no background, but you want to listen from the experts. So that will be a few doctors on Saturday and few on Sunday. So you can have a free consultation, also listen the lecture, also participate, very active. On my lecture will be many like Tai Chi, Qigong, and relaxation techniques. So usually what I'm making, the audience get up and making actively in the seminars. And also I'm happy that last year we have over 2,000 people. We're expecting more this year. This is the 4th edition.
And last year was their audience participation, like in Qigong and Tai Chi and all that?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
that's
yes.
wonderful.
The breathing technique and any other technique, and will be mini session of the relaxation acupuncture for people who would like to try. And
that you will also be sharing experiences about how all these, some of these therapies also helped you.
Yes, absolutely. So that's why I'm like to do, and I am fan of the natural medicine, and I am medical doctor, but also holistic medicine doctor. So like combine functional medicine with the Western medicine. I'm coming from the family that both grandparents of both sides they were herbologists. They have big plantation, so instead like growing potato, corn, they growing the medicinal plants, and that was for me the part of daily routine and lifestyle. So I never think this is big medicine, but this is big medicine.
So in other words, the herbs and the medicines that your grandparents grew, that a lot of that isn't found in the books that you use at school. That's not the...
Yes, for example, like lemon balm, which is good for relaxation and also calming down nervous system, but also helping with sleeping. Or like elderberry extract from the fruits and from the flowers, which is really good to boost immune system. Now it's very popular, and you can buy any health food store or vitamins and supplement store, and many pediatricians for the chronic respiratory infection and recurring infection for children they prescribe.
Let's bring together our two guests. So let's say John Kennedy, who is running for alderman.
Who's stressed out,
yes.
who can't sleep.
Yes,
What do I do?
So what is your advice, Mr. Kennedy?
I am here. I will take care, just inviting you for this lecture. We have a ribbon cutting on Friday. This is in Schaumburg. Mayor of Schaumburg will be supporting us. And I hope the next year we can do on a spring in Schaumburg. But on the east, we don't have this beautiful expo. We can do when the future mayor and alderman will invite us to Evanston.
No, I'm looking for a little pill that you can prescribe.
What about lemon balm? Is lemon balm would that help alleviate some of John Kennedy's stress?
In a form of tea, or in a form of tincture, in a form of tablets you can buy in a health food store. And acupuncture also balance sympathetic parasympathetic nervous system, make the balance between day and night behavior, and during the day you're supposed to be active and nighttime you're supposed to sleep. So everything is possible to balance with the age.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any question about how to better manage your time how to focus better? For Dr. Violette. Just one quick question. We will be wrapping up in about a minute.
Well, in terms of focus, I think it's very important. I mean, the myth, I think, of doing, multiple things at once, or being, having 2 or 3 things going, I think is wrong. And the human attention span, if you're going to do things correctly, has got to be focused in on the task at hand. The other key thing from a time management point of view that I've found is deal with things now. if somebody sends you an email and asks you for a contact, just do it now.
Very sound
That's
advice.
good.
And that type of
Okay.
thing. All right.
John Kennedy, if our viewers want to learn more about you in your race for 3rd Ward Alderman of Evanston, how should they find you?
Website, johnkennedy3rdward.com.
Okay, and Dr. Violette Kolcan, if our viewers want to learn more about you, where should they go?
They can call me 773-562-0734. Again, 773-562-0734. Or website www.drviolet.com.
Okay. This has been Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. I am Trudy Leong, Administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to both our guests and thank you to you for watching, and we'll see you again next week.